Mothering Sunday. Buckets of pastel-coloured tulips decorated the front of the church. Palest pink, delicate yellow, royal purple, a jewellery box of gems. Richard sat in the front row, admiring the display. He was alone, relishing the early morning peace of a pre-service Sunday. Although slowly recovering, his knee was still troublesome, waking him in the early hours of most mornings. On other days he limped downstairs to the kitchen, poured a glass of milk or juice and swallowed another couple of painkillers, then hauled himself back upstairs to the hope of an hour or two more of sleep. But not this morning. Pushing back the duvet, he dressed in the dark, pulling on tracksuit trousers and a warm jumper. He didn't want to wake Marge. He had enjoyed the quiet of the kitchen, the whirring of the fridge compressor and the ticking of the clock were the only sounds, sipping on the cup of tea he'd brewed. Felicia expressed her surprise at his entry into her nocturnal domain with a snarl and a flick of the tail, before stalking off to the lounge. "Good morning to you too, Felicia." Richard closed the door behind the cat's retreat. He breathed in the steam floating upwards from the mug cradled in his hands. An unopened white envelope lay next to him on the table. It was a gift from Will and Ellen for Mothering Sunday, a gift which involved him, or was supposed to. Finishing his tea, Richard shoved the envelope into his pocket. "I'll deal with that later." 15 minutes later, Richard prized himself out of the car. He'd had to hunt for the car keys, finding them buried in the biscuit tin. Marge's idea of keeping him out of the driving seat. He dusted crumbs from the snaffled piece of shortbread as he hopped around on one leg and locked the car. The surface of the car park was slick with recent rainfall. Grateful for the stair rail installed last year, Richard grabbed the cold metal and pulled himself up the vestry steps and into the church. The first rays of dawn illuminated the east-facing stained glass window, painting the aisle in a breathtaking rainbow. Richard admired the kaleidoscope as it shifted and reformed with the changing angle of the sun. Glorious. Truly glorious. Now, let's see these tulips. One of Marge's cousins owned a florist shop in the centre of London. He had contacts at all the best flower markets with all the best dealers. Richard had approached him a few years before, wondering if he could help provide a gift of cheer to the moms and ladies of St Saviour's on Mothering Sunday. Derek had surpassed all expectations. "For you, Richard, I'll do more than that. I've got a soft spot for our Marge. I have a mate works on the tulip farms in Holland. He owes me a favour. A big favour." He'd nudged Richard in the ribs. "You leave it with me, Reverend. We'll have a gift all right. You wait and see." The following week, on the Saturday afternoon before the Mother's Day service, Richard received a phone call. "Delivery for a Reverend Richard." "But I'm not expecting any deliveries. Marge, have you heard anything?" Marge hadn't. Nonplussed, Richard dashed around to St Saviour's. A dirty white van, its rolling door pushed halfway open, stood in the car park. A man in a tweed cap, checked shirt and jeans paced backwards and forwards, a cigarette dangling from his lips. He dropped the cigarette to the ground as Richard approached, grinding it into the tarmac with a scuffed boot. He extended a hand. "Afternoon, sir. Sorry to have disturbed you. How's Arsenal getting on then? I missed the last few minutes trying to find my way here. This is St Saviour's, right?" Yes, it is. I'm not sure how Arsenal is doing. Sorry, I don't watch." Richard shook the proffered hand. "As I said on the phone, I'm not expecting any deliveries. Are you sure it's St Saviour's you're looking for?" The driver waved a sheaf of papers in Richard's face. "That's what it says here, sir. Delivery for Reverend Richard, St Saviour's Church, Bradwell Road. I assume you're the Reverend Richard they're talking about?" He pointed at the dog collar around Richard's throat. Richard fingered his collar. "Oh, I'd forgotten I was still wearing this." "Yes, I'm Richard. Who is the delivery from?" The driver peered at the papers, ran a finger over the text, searching for the answer. "Oh, here we are. From a Mr. Derek Sampton. I mean anything to you?" He looked up at Richard, one eyebrow raised in question. "Oh, Derek. Yes, I know Derek. I didn't realise he was sending anything to me, though. In fact, I'd decided he definitely wasn't, as I hadn't heard from him." He pointed at the back of the van. So, was Derek arranged for us then? Couple of bunches of daffs, something like that. It seems a bit of overkill, sending them in such a large vehicle. The driver hopped up on the tailgate and pushed the door further upwards. Metal screeched against metal. Richard winced. Bit more than that, Rev, if you don't mind me calling you that. The driver stepped to one side, allowing Richard to see into the dark interior. Looks like a whole tulip farm in there, I can tell you. Richard had peered inside. And so began the enduring tradition of snow tulips on Mothering Sunday.